How many times have we had to hear from Democrats complaining about the Electoral College, saying that the will of the people is the popular vote and the Electoral College is archaic, it doesn't work, and why should people in Wyoming get more vote power than someone in California? Harumph, I say. No matter how many times we've told them why this is, because we're a republic, not a direct democracy, they don't seem to care. And people like Elizabeth Warren have campaigned on removing the Electoral College. Well, now something interesting is happening. In Iowa, we are, at the time of filming this video, only looking at around 71.4% of the votes being tallied. Guess who's winning? Pete Buttigieg. Yes, I know. You probably heard this, but who would have seen that coming? I mean, there's been a big kerfluffle, whatever. What's the kerfuffle? Kerfluffle, I don't know, whatever the word is. There's been a weird conundrum, a problem, having to do with the caucus results. People think there's cheating going on. They're calling Buttigieg Mayor Cheat because he, paid money for this app. Oh, well, hold on. Ignore that. The real issue is the results. Pete Buttigieg has more delegates pledged than Bernie Sanders, but Bernie Sanders has the popular vote. Now, I think it's fair to say AOC has ragged on the Electoral College, and she supports Bernie Sanders. So I think it'll be safe to say she'll come out and say the popular vote in the primary is who should get it. But what about the rest of the Democrats who cried, kicking and screaming the whole time saying Trump shouldn't have won? It should have been Hillary. She won the popular vote. But you voted for Buttigieg. So you're saying Buttigieg should lose? No. Wait. Yeah, they don't want to do that now because their person is winning, right? Come on, it was obvious. They only complain about the Electoral College when they lose the Electoral College. I know there are going to be progressives complaining about the system because, and they do believe in the popular vote. Respect to them for maintaining their integrity on that issue. It's the Democrat establishment that will play the game and then spin around as fast as they can the moment it hurts them. So we have this story from McClatchy, D.C. Why does Buttigieg lead in early Iowa caucus results if Sanders has more votes? Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont leads in the popular vote tally as delayed Iowa Democratic caucus results trickle in for the 2020 presidential race. The New York Times analysis of caucus data shows. So how is it possible that Pete Buttigieg, the former mayor of South Bend, Indiana, is in the lead in the result that matters most for Monday's contest? It all comes down to something called state delegate equivalence. With 71% of precincts reporting midday Wednesday, Buttigieg had about 419 state delegate equivalents to Sanders' 394, according to the Iowa Democratic Party. Next in those early results was Senator Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts, with roughly 287 state delegate equivalents. They go on to say, the Washington Post reported Tuesday, when 62% of votes were counted, that Buttigieg's tentative edge in the state delegate equivalents is most likely a result of him faring better than Sanders in rural areas, where there are more delegates per caucus goer. Sounds like the Electoral College, doesn't it? Boy, oh boy, when those moderate Democrat establishment types need the Electoral College on their side, it certainly works out for them. Okay, we're not talking about the Electoral College. We're talking about their caucus system, which very much looks similar to how the Electoral College does work. Do you think Pete Buttigieg is going to come out and say, I concede to Sanders because he got more votes? No, it'll never happen. The same thing would happen if Hillary Clinton lost the popular vote but won the Electoral College. She'd say, that's the game you play, because everyone will say it all the time. I don't care what party you're in. Whatever advantages someone gets, they're justified in taking that. They say the phenomenon might sound familiar to anyone who remembers the 2016 presidential election. Hillary Clinton won millions more votes across the U.S. overall, but President Trump won a substantial majority in Electoral College votes, which determined the actual winner. This is possible because of how state delegate equivalents are distributed. NBC political correspondent Steve Kornacki said on Twitter of Buttigieg's lead. Basically, rural areas tend to get more bang for their buck at the expense of college-heavy areas. And why should it be that a dense population area would just dictate what the rural areas get to do? I hate to say it, but it does make sense. It's the same exact thing. Buttigieg appeals to more people in different communities. That's important, in my opinion. Think about it this way. If you have swaths of rural areas, the people on one side of the state don't necessarily agree with the people on the other side of the state. They probably agree on a lot of things, like most Americans do, but they're in different areas. One might be farm territory, one might be oil country, and they're going to have different focuses. Many of the farmers might have concerns about pollution, while the oil people have concerns about how the regulation on certain environmental issues impact their business. So they might disagree. And if Buttigieg or anyone running for office appeals to a wider base, it's actually safer for the country than key hot pocket areas of like, a specific ideology dominating the entire conversation. Because you might have a big faction of people who are socialists. And if you only did delegate by, popular vote or just, general election by popular vote, you'd get an overwhelming group of people of one ideology dictating the conversation. And then everyone else from different areas who aren't being catered to or talked to are going to get angry, and fighting could break out. Clashes could break out. People are going to get upset they're not being listened to. So if you have a candidate who can appeal to a wide base and more people than just one community, I think you're better off. So it does make sense. They say state delegate equivalent projections matter because that's the number that indicates how many Iowa delegates at the Democratic Convention in Milwaukee will support each candidate. The Iowa Democratic Party defines state delegate equivalents, or SDEs, as the projected number of state party convention delegates the candidates will receive based upon results of the precinct caucuses. Now, I'll tell you something important. My understanding, it's a private process, not a government process. So cheating, yeah, they can do it. The DHS wanted to review the security on the app they used, and they rejected it. No, we don't want that. That's right. I'll tell you something else, too. Even though Bernie Sanders is losing in delegate count, it may have to do with, well, out of the, 25 delegates he's down by, there were some coin tosses that are kind of, suspicious, to say the least. Some viral videos showing people doing coin tosses between Buttigieg and Bernie. And then I'll just leave it there. You watch the video and you're confused as to how they actually called it when the guy catches the coin and then looks at it and flips around with the coin before calling it. Seems not to make total sense. But here's what happens. If you have two Bernie people and two Buttigieg people, and someone flips a coin and then lies and gives it to Buttigieg, the Bernie people can see it and say, hey, you're cheating. And the Biden people can say, hey, you're cheating. I'm sorry. Bernie people can say you're cheating, but the Buttigieg people will be like, that's not true. And then a fight, not like a physical fight, but like, oh, it's an argument. So they flip coins, they round up and down. And there are many areas where Bernie Sanders won. There was one famous one where he got 101 delegates to Buttigieg's 66, and they got the same delegate count. So check this out. Wall Street Journal has Sanders technically in the lead because they're basing it on vote percentage. Bernie has 26.2%. Buttigieg has 25.2%. But Buttigieg has way more delegates, which means when it comes time for the nomination process, Buttigieg has got this one. But I will point out some of the more interesting conspiracy theories, I guess. The funny one being they're trickling out the results. Someone posted on Twitter that yesterday they had calculated all of these votes, but for some reason weren't releasing the data. Now, I can't tell you why, but I can tell you what many Bernie fans think. By slowly trickling out results that keep Buttigieg in the lead, he does victory lap after victory lap after victory lap. And as the psychology data shows, people are more willing to vote for someone who is winning. People want to be on the winning team. So the more Buttigieg gets to do those victory laps, as they claim he's in the lead, he's going around saying, it's me, I won. Yes, maybe in a few days or a week or whenever they finally release the data, Bernie Sanders will squeak just ahead. But at that point, what? New Hampshire's already over. Some of these key caucus states have already passed. The primary states have already passed. And Buttigieg used that media cycle to his advantage. Not just that. But with Buttigieg in the lead, I'm sure he's getting a ton of press requests. So you're going to have CNN, you're going to have MSNBC, Fox News, all these other outlets being like, he's in the lead for now. Let's get him on TV and ask about what's going on. You're the leader. You're the front runner. The data's not in yet, but what do you think? And all of that press access will boost Buttigieg in the next elections. I think they cheat. I don't know what's happening here, nor do I want to play any conspiratorial games. But the DNC changed the rules for Bloomberg because they cheat. They cheat in 2016. They'll cheat again. And they want you to know they cheat so that you give up hope. I'm not a fan of Bernie Sanders. I'm not a fan of Warren. Biden's in fourth place. I'm a fan of democracy, democratic institutions. And I think if the people want Bernie Sanders, they have every right to have Bernie Sanders be their nominee. And if they're going to play dirty games, I mean, you count me out. That's what I said. I've said it over and over again. I'm not playing this game anymore. I'm not going to go into their primaries. I'm not going to give them a vote of confidence. But I will absolutely defend Sanders voters if they're getting cheated. Because as much as I don't like the guy, I say the same thing for Trump. But you have a right to vote for him, and I respect you and understand for the most part why you're doing it. That's the way this country works. If the people choose Bernie, that's what happens. So while the popular vote is for Bernie, the delegate count is for Buttigieg. Admittedly, I'm not completely opposed to how they do that system, as I explained. What I am opposed to is the weird goings-on that seem to benefit the establishment the entire time, or the billionaires. Yeah, the game is rigged. They want you to think it's rigged. And you know what? It'll be rigged next time. Maybe this is the end. Maybe it's their last-ditch effort. Maybe Bernie will pull ahead. The polls are showing it. Maybe he'll finally get in and push out the cronies. I don't know. But I'll leave that there. Stick around. I got one more segment coming up in a few minutes, and I will see you all shortly.